I got the invitation to go on this Armed Lutheran radio show, though. You know this guy? Have you seen this? There's two things that I would like to say that make me feel safe. Number one, the fact that there is a radio show called the Armed Lutheran Podcast somewhere in the world. That makes me feel safe.
Pistols, prayer, and potluck. This is Armed Lutheran Radio.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Armed Lutheran Radio, a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's Word says about the issues surrounding gun rights and gun ownership. I am your host, Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran. This is episode number 415, and this is our monthly online hangout for August 2024 for our Reformation Gun Club members. It is these fine folks who make the show possible. As we say every week, Armed Lutheran Radio is listener funded. We don't have any advertising. We don't have any sponsors. We rely on the generosity of some of the people that you'll meet here tonight and many more who put their money where their mouth is and make the show possible. If you would like to join them, visit reformationgunclub.com and sign up today for just $36 a year. Welcome aboard to all of you who are new. Hope you will stick around and check out more of our back catalog and visit our just come back next week for more stuff, more good stuff. For those of you who are returning listeners, thank you for your support. Really do appreciate it. Glad to have you back with us. Let's bring in some of our guests, and it looks like we've got a good crew of regular attendees. There we go. Greetings and salutations.
And felicitations.
Hey.
Our super fan is here as well. How is everyone?
Great.
Getting better.
Getting better.
Yeah, I got rid of my cast. Now the little bracy thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal. And Steve is with us from the Star Chamber.
Yeah, well,
it's fine. It's fine. No worries.
Whatever. I just got off work.
It works. Well, let's go around the room, catch up with everybody. Stuart, you're recovering well. Tell us what's been happening with you.
Just going to baseball games. No shooting because I'm not left-handed, but you still use your left hand. Can't jack the slide back.
Yep.
Etc. So
good practice for one-handed manipulations, though.
Yeah, I'm not that coordinated.
Rack the slide off the back of your off your belt and that sort of thing.
Yeah, whatever. Shoot myself in the ass, in other words. Well, I could take the revolver out. That's true.
There you go. What are you drinking tonight?
When I was on my way back from France, Calvados. Or Calvados, how you say it in French.
All right.
Anyway, it's apple brandy. It's pretty good.
Okay. Sounds nice. Donny from White Bear, how are you, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good.
How's Peter settling in with the new?
He is officially Vicar Peter, and we were invited over to the pastor's household, and I said, "Oh, I'm in a group and." We got this guy, I think his name is Dan. He's from Central Washington. And he says, oh, that's Dan so-and-so, because he used to be, I can't remember his last name, but he's from Chehalis. And he used to be in the Montana district as a pastor.
Okay. So he's in Dan Freeman, right?
Dan Freeman, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's... Peter's he's already been to a preaching conference. He's got every every Thursday, the pastors in the Billings area, which he's in the Billings area, take and get together, and he's met all of them except the one he knows already, which was the pastor that confirmed him. So he's liking it a lot. He's happy. When we were there, we took him up over Beartooth Pass, over 10,000 feet. Showed him a couple thousand head of buffalo in Yellowstone Park and saw about a dozen bull elk. So it's he's happy there. He's a lot happier there than he was in seminary. I mean, he's still in seminary technically, but
Right.
he's where he wants to be.
Good deal. So is Dan his pastor, Dan Freeman?
No. His pastor's name is Elmo Pullman.
Okay.
And he was told that that's the premier. I was told by, and he was told by the Nevada, California, Hawaii district president that he's considered the premier vicarage supervisor in the Synod. And they haven't had any in Montana for about 5 years, any vicars. So
Oh, wow.
he's hopeful that they remember him.
Very good. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I got to go get it in a second, but it's going to be rock and rye from Glacier Distilling, which you can now go to their website and order the stuff now, and they'll ship it to you.
Oh, very good. Texas still has weird, antiquated laws where you can't get that stuff shipped to you, which is annoying. Oh, well. I'll try to find some way around it. Will, how about you? How are you? What have you been up to? You're not in a car today.
Not in a car this time, just at home. A couple weeks ago, my wife and I left the kids with grandma and grandpa, and we went up to Minnesota.
Nice.
Should have stopped by.
Stop by where? I know the pastor's up there, but he was like 2-ish hours from where we were going to be. So a little bit outside of our scope of operations. Although we did stop at Pella, Iowa, where the Pella windows are made, and it's a cute little Danish town. So
Yeah,
a little bit
Dutch.
Yeah, a little bit. Was it Dutch or Danish? Yeah, it was a cute little town. Felt a little European. We did stop off. Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see, we did stop off in Austin, Minnesota, to the Spam Museum, and
Okay.
got to enjoy some Spam there. I mean, it's just a fun little stop. Got the kids' T-shirts and things, and then we went to Darwin, Minnesota, and got to see the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota.
Well, that was I'm sure that was the pinnacle of the trip.
That was actually, I mean, not for my wife, but for me it was. It was great. And so we listened to the Weird Al songs. Yep. We listened to the Spam song. We listened to the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. That's not the official name. It's world's largest ball of twine rolled by one man. Who knew?
Okay. All right. Weird flex.
Did you say hi to Governor Walz?
I may have saluted a few times with the single finger salute, but yeah.
We just hope we get to keep him for 2 more years because he'll do less damage here than he does in his new office. And anyway, I'll be seeing you in a little over a month.
Yeah, in October. You're rolling into town the 5th, right?
The 5th, yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep, I plan to see you then.
An unofficial Reformation Gun Club live get together. Very cool.
Yeah, we'll take pictures. Tonight I'm drinking a nice cream stout from a local brewery.
Nice. Cool.
I'm sure I'll have another one in a little bit because this one's almost done.
I've got more work to do later, so I'm incredibly boring tonight. So
fair enough.
Nothing fun to explain. Pastor G and the super fan. What have you guys been up to? Hey, how Max, how was the concert? I saw the picture with the whole Get Up, the concert that you went to.
June.
I get whatever concert you went to, honey.
Well, that
that
was good.
Well, I haven't seen you since then, so I thought I would ask.
That was fun. Spent the most money I've ever spent in my life, but it was all saved up by me from my job.
Okay. Cool.
It was like $200 for the ticket, and then I bought a bunch of merchandise. So.
Ooh. The concert was good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what have y'all been up to since then?
Well, moving kids to college. We have 3 in college now.
Oh boy.
And I'm finding off something's running through the house and through our area. And so I stayed home today instead of spreading the joy. And
Gotcha. I hear you.
And other than that, just taking my other weapon classes like cane, and start my rotor cuff surgeries, I guess, finally starting to heal up. So I was able to start restart my Doyle Irish stick fighting a couple of weeks ago, and because that one requires 2 hands, whereas my other one, the Bonafide, only requires really one. Well, it can be adapted to 1 hand.
Okay.
So I was doing the Bonafide for quite a while, but I finally decided to get back into my Doyle and join that. And I was looking at this. There's an Ozark School of Gunfighting in their area here.
There is?
I saw it on and I apparently at least they're associated somewhat with the UCSSA, whatever, the
United Concealed Carry
people, whatever. Yeah. It's like $300 for like a thing, like, if I get it done for $300.
Yeah, but it depends on what you're getting out of it. If it's a 2-day class, or if it's a lot of rounds, or if it's a well-known instructor, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, well, I think they're like 2 days, but you have to bring your own rounds and whatnot, so like 1,000 rounds.
Yep.
They have movement things or whatever. I was like, I'm not. I don't think I'm quite up for that yet, but I'm looking at it.
Yeah, those are fun. We did. I guess it was Rob Pincus's defensive pistol class with former contributor Aaron Israel a while back, and had a. The one that will really beat you up is if you do a revolver class. Do a revolver class with somebody like Grant Cunningham. I did that a couple of years ago. 4 years ago now. I guess it was right. It was before COVID, and it was a 2-day class. You didn't shoot a whole lot, but you shot enough that if you were shooting a snubby, and some of the guys were, I bet they were absolutely. I had a 3-inch SP1 Ruger SP101 I was shooting. Other guys were shooting snubs, and I cannot imagine what their hands felt like the day after that. I know mine was bad enough day 2.
Well, it doesn't have a very big grip on it either. The SP101.
Mine had a pretty good grip. I had swapped out those grips for something else, a custom set, and they were fairly comfortable, but a bunch of guys had like Smith 642 airweights and a couple of those little small snubbies. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine.
All I got in revolvers is a Smith & Wesson model 29 6-inch 44 Magnum and a Heritage 22 single action.
Those are fun.
With the interchangeable Magnum 22 Magnum thing, so.
Yep, got one of those too. Those are fun.
So we're drinking matcha boba tea tonight.
Okay. in mason jars.
In mason jars. Well, we are the Ozarks, So.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what have you been up to? We haven't seen you in a while. How you been?
I've been really good. My job changed several months ago. I got a kind of a life-changing promotion to where
Oh, wow.
my wife was able to quit her job and become a full-time stay-at-home mom. So it's meant a lot more hours for me, but the financial difference has been just astounding and, like I said, life-changing. So really, but it's also kept me really busy. I've missed the last few online hangouts because of that. I have been able to do a fair amount of shooting lately. A lot of rifle. I'm really, really digging learning the long range shooting. And, going from a scout rifle where everything is 300 yards and in,
right,
where, this is 400 yards and out, as I've caught the bug completely and fallen down several rabbit holes. So having a great time with that.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Very cool. What are you imbibing this evening?
I found this is called Eagle Rare, which is a really, really hard to find whiskey. They are Virginia 80s.
Did you just stumble upon it, or was it when you came recommended?
Well, so one of the shooting schools that I've been going to, you can pay them in whiskey. So I went down to the ABC store and I said, "What have you got that's unusual?" And they said, "Well, we've got some of the Eagle Rare." I'm like, "Well, what is that?"
It's got the word rare in it, so
it's rare, and it's rare enough that the ABC store won't let you buy more than one a day per person. So we're limited on quantities. So I got that and it's not horribly expensive, but the guys at Bang Steel Shooting School were really impressed. They said this is hard stuff to find and an absolute bargain at the price. And so I went back and found another bottle of it on a different day. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good. It's not, I'm not sure that I'd pay, a huge amount of money for it, but yeah, it's very rich. It's very full. You're not drinking cheap stuff. But,
worth the price.
Yeah. Yeah. So Eagle Rare, it's aged 10 years. I know nothing else about it. But I like it.
Except that you like it, which is all that matters.
Yeah. Oh, and you may have seen my cat is completely out of control.
I see that. Yes, ours have been that way as well.
This cat, he's kind of the coolest animal I've ever owned in my entire life, and I've owned a lot of animals. But this dude is he's freakishly affectionate.
He's kind of chill.
Yeah.
All right, David, back from the mountains of Tuscany. We saw you had the camera set up outside, decided to come in. How you been?
Doing just fine. No, the problem I was having, the little security thing for your camera that shuts it off. I'm trying to figure out why my background was the background and I couldn't see me.
You couldn't see you
on the screen at all. What in the heck is going on? And finally I realized, oh yeah. So, yeah, sorry about that.
No,
yeah, Tuscany. We did the world's longest yard sale. Actually, I guess that
yard sale.
I guess that was since the last meeting.
I heard this.
US 127 runs north from Michigan down through Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, through the corner of Georgia and into the state of Alabama.
Okay.
690 miles, first full weekend of August. It's one massive chain of yard sales.
Okay.
So if you like those kind of things, and I do, and my wife, so we went to the northernmost tip of it in Michigan this year, which we had never been to the north part of it before, and worked our way down for all the yard sales. And, you'll run by a field where somebody's rented it out to vendors, and there'll be 100 tents, 100 vendors out there. Or you may end up chasing off the beaten path back a mile and a half into the country just to run up on somebody's garage sale, or barn sales. Most of them were called barn sales in Ohio. And it was wonderful because when I think of barns, I usually think of my grandfather's barn, maybe painted red, a couple of horse stalls. No. We're talking about pole barns, steel, corrugated steel.
Okay.
Some of them 3 stories tall.
Okay.
Huge things I saw at least $5 million worth of farm equipment in one place.
So how long has this event been going on?
25 years.
Okay.
It expands just a little bit each year. Yeah. So now they're expanding up into Michigan. There wasn't really much going on up there in Michigan yet. The town where it starts is just barely over the border from Ohio, but you got to start somewhere. And there were some going on. So we found a few trinkets. Pastor G, something I picked up last year I wanted to show you was a cane that is built.
The hammerhead.
All peen
hammer.
So if you're using that as the hammer, as the handle of the cane, it's very stout. But if you turn it around,
you got yourself a self-defense tool. Very cool.
And awesome. It's interesting because it was made on what's called an auction stick. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
But an auctioneer's stick is just a pointy stick to point at things while it's being auctioned, or poke something so that it comes apart, or it's just a general purpose stick.
It's a pointing tool, yeah.
But it's like other things where you'll see maybe a funeral fan that is advertising the funeral home, or yardsticks that have a business name on them, or paint stirrers that have the business name on them. It's an auction stick. It's that kind of thing as well. So it was interesting. I think a grand total of $10 or $12 I paid for that. So
nice.
Pretty interesting. So
that's pretty cool. So a nice long road trip and lots of yard sales. It reminds me of are any of you fans of I can't think of the guy's last name, JD, the host of History Traveler. I recommended this guy to Will when he was when you were going to Normandy. The History Traveler guy went to Normandy and did that episode about the Normandy Experience Museum. And he did a whole series this month, I think, on Route 66. It just reminded me of that. Which was just driving on. He decided to start with his family in Chicago and drive all the way to Santa Monica, California, and stop at all these little weird, odd little places along the way through every state, which I thought was pretty cool. And it sounds very similar, like just seeing one of the things that he was talking about at the end of it. Actually, he was kind of reflecting on it about halfway through, was the fact that you're getting to see what real America is like. You're just meeting real people, and nobody's talking politics, and nobody's angry at each other. You're just all having, sharing in this fun experience of being on the road and seeing America the way it used to be. And that your experience with this world's longest garage sale kind of reminded me of that. That's kind of cool.
So my wife picked up something I thought was significant. A lady sold 3 candlestick holders that are painted like the 3 wise men for Christmas. She said they had belonged to her grandmother. They were painted in the 1950s, and for whatever reason, too much stuff. They're just getting rid of them. But
I can identify with that.
They're hand painted. They're tremendously cute. They were, pennies on the dollar. And then, I run across an older guy who's you can tell is into some firearm things because there are all sorts of interesting little pieces of paraphernalia. I bought a table vise, from him, $20.
Nice.
Kind of thing, and just but he had like old cartridges. He had a lot of historical. I mean, not historical, but shotgun shells from the 1940s. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
Which was sort of cool to look at. I wasn't going to pay his prices for them, but but it was cool. And just, different things like that. And, we're in the Amish country and, or Mennonite country as it were. And, some girls, they baked all these cookies and things like this. And it's, it's like, how much is that? Oh, it's $1. It's like, okay, nice.
Load me down.
Yeah. Just different things like that. It was a lot of fun. We spent more money on food than we did on stuff. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 something years. And we have gotten some significant stuff over the years, but it's just stuff. We don't care. But we do love the experience. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
And
20 years, I imagine it's changed quite a bit.
No, not really. Not really.
I mean, in terms of size, your drive is probably a lot longer.
Yeah. And I'll raise you one on your boring.
And you're out.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Very cool.
Oh, and as far as shooting, the only shooting thing, Steve, that I've been doing is putting a lighting kit in my safe.
That's something a lot of people don't think about. It's you go fumbling around in the safe in the dark. And even if your safe's in a well-lit room, depending on the size of the safe, it can be kind of hard to figure out what all you got in there.
Well, we have a big safe for all the stuff. And then we have a smaller, I mean, still full height, but smaller width.
Mm-hmm.
One, shall we say, quick access should a need arise.
Right.
And shotgun in there, that kind of stuff. But I wanted a kit in there, so I found I went to a ham fest with a buddy of mine 2 weekends ago, and they had a vendor who was selling, all the LED lights and the little USB gizmos, and I picked up a roll of LED lights for $10 and an infrared switch, so that when motion detector, and then hook those up, and so I've got it roughed into the safe now. I got to go back and tighten it up and stuff. But it's roughed in.
So are you a ham?
No, but my buddy is. So
You've been in enough of these meetings, can't you tell he's a ham?
Oh yeah, I'm that kind of ham. I definitely am that kind of ham.
I am Kilowatt Juliet 7 India Zulu.
Oh, okay.
Kilo 4 Golf Uniform November.
Really?
K4 gun.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. I like that.
I mean, is that your call sign, really?
It is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that vanity sign became available about a week after I first got my license, and I managed to snap that up. I haven't been active for several years, but I still have the license.
I'm thinking about maybe getting a software-defined radio just to listen, and or maybe start out with some kind of a small hand rig like the Baofeng or something like that. So, I bought my daughter and son-in-law a couple of Baofengs for Christmas a couple of years back. Something they were interested in from a prepper standpoint. So,
yep.
What's the licensing procedure like? I remember getting an FCC license back when I started my old radio days. Is it similar to that, or is it?
Well, I used to be a VE tester, in fact, a coordinating one. And they've reduced it from when I got it, there were 6 different classes. Now there's only 3. And all that's required anymore is to pass a written exam.
And the first exam is actually multiple choice.
They're all multiple choice.
Are they all? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're all multiple choice. The extra class, which I'm an extra class, I believe it has 50 questions on it. And I think the technician class, which is the beginning one, has
35.
25.
Yeah, it's not complicated. If you take the practice tests online enough, you can memorize the question pool, which is how I became I was one of the very first no code extras. So, and I couldn't tell you very much about what I actually answered. I just memorized the question pool.
It's easy to do because they're all the question pool is public domain stuff.
Oh,
and that's how most people do it, is they just do it. And I actually went all the steps that were available at that time. I took all the exams, and in 2000 I stepped up to extra when you only had to have 5 words a minute, which I had done 13 words a minute to get my general. But
yeah, it now is. I think in 2007 is when they eliminated the code requirement altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question pool it's a big question pool. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but if you take the online practice tests and you take enough of them, you'll see all the questions, and then you'll figure out how to memorize them.
So lots of the same question, just asked different ways.
No, I mean, so when I took the technician and the general, I didn't miss a question, but that's just how my brain works. If I see the same question enough times, I don't even have to look at the question anymore. I just look at the answers and I know what question they're asking. But then the extra was a little tougher because their questions are a lot more detailed, a lot more in depth. But I think I only missed 2 or 3 on that one, which, I mean, it sounds impressive, but it's really not. But extra class just gives you the ability to operate on a lot more frequencies. And I did for a while. I used to be a VHF contester. As a matter of fact, I got an article published in the ARRL magazine.
QST.
Yep, and QST, and I got published back, I think it was 2010 or 2011. I was doing mobile contesting, VHF contests, but I just kind of gave it up. I really didn't pursue it, and I had one heck of a setup. I had a mobile tower set up in the bed of my pickup truck with 4 directional beam antennas. And I would drive around to different grid squares, these, latitude and longitude things, and aim my truck at different population centers and pick up as many QSOs as I could, log them and send it in. And I won several plaques and trophies for it, but it was a good time. I just haven't pursued it since then.
Other more expensive interests?
It's pretty expensive.
It's probably pretty expensive now that I think about it.
It's pretty pricey.
It depends on what you want to do and how much you want to spend.
Yeah.
And how far you want to go.
Most everything I do now is actually, it's called PSK 31.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, the only thing I touch my radio for is to turn it off and on, because it's all computer controlled. Once I hit end of the conversation, it automatically logs it into into the database.
Yeah.
I will admit I don't know a whole lot about that, but it sounds like a lot more to it than I even imagined.
Well, if you just want to get, Baofeng radio and talk on the local repeaters, it's actually very easy. Just contact your local club, do a Google search for your local ham radio club. They will be excited as anything to have somebody under the age of 70 who expresses any interest whatsoever.
That eliminates me. I'm over 70 now.
Yes, but you've got your license, and that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, so you just contact them, go to a meeting. They will tell you everything that you need to know about going down and passing the test. They have what are called VEs. They will
volunteer examiner.
Yep, they will administer the test and set you up with an FCC license. It really is quite simple, but when you decide you want to get a lot more complicated, you certainly can complicate it. Just like it's probably more rabbit holes than the shooting sports.
One thing about going to this event, the Ham Fest, it's very much like any other kind of flea market or swap meet or any kind of thing. There were vendors there with everything ham related, not ham related. I saw guitars and keyboards for sale.
So sort of like
Lloyd.
going to a gun show.
Yeah.
Anybody with stuff to sell seems to show up if it's even moderately tangentially related to whatever
exactly. And and I didn't spend any ham dollars. We did stop at one of the grocery stores on the way back and bring my wife a can of Spam.
Of course you did.
Oh, it was a ham fest, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mystery meat.
That's right.
So we had fun.
Awesome.
It was in Huntsville, Alabama. Some good restaurants over there.
There are indeed. All right. I don't know whether we want to get a whole lot. I don't want to talk politics.
We just diverted you from your topic, didn't we?
I didn't have a topic, to be honest. Will had brought something up, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do, like Ask Me Anything. So Will had a question that he posed to me before the meeting in
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger. I started to say
Will. Yeah. So the beginning of every episode, you play a clip from Table Talk Radio, and it's he's talking about how. There's two things that make him feel safe.
What's the other thing?
Yes, what's the other thing? So the first is that there's a radio show called Armed Lutheran. He says Armed Lutheran Podcast, but and then it cuts off. So I'm like,
yep,
waiting. So yes, what's the other thing?
The other thing was a guy named, I think his name is Shane Lesher. Shane kind of floats around the different confessional Facebook groups, and he's yoked out of his mind. I mean, he is absolutely just buff, and that's the other thing that Pastor Wolfmiller said made him feel safe, that he's out there.
Okay. Now I know. All right.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
Shane Lesher?
I believe so.
How do you spell that?
Lesher is like the Hulk.
Yeah.
LOESSCHER. LOES.
He's huge. He is the Lutheran Hulk.
Thank you for asking, because I have wondered that every time it plays.
Yeah, my mind also. It's like, what is the other one?
Very cool. I didn't know I was creating an air of mystery about the show. Completely unintentional.
So if you're open to just questions like that at the moment,
absolutely.
How you obviously have a very well structured production, which I'm very fond of.
I appreciate that.
Well, no, I mean, I've listened to so many other podcasts where there's so much dead space and so much lack of signal. That it's just, I have turned off so many of them because I can't stand them just joking around and going nowhere.
Kind of like tonight.
No, No, by comparison, this is 100 times better. I'm serious. There are some just people who just like start the mic up and they have no plan on what they're doing. They have, so where did you get that? I mean, do you keep an outline up on the computer? Do you spend copious hours, plotting, especially in the early shows, I noticed, you really very well regimented, very well structured, the commercial is never more, when you had commercials never more than this many seconds long, the bumper music, bop, 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 bop.
Yep.
You had all the particular outlines for all the different things and bumpers for every one of them. And, where do you, how do you do that?
It's amazing how much the show has changed, because that was very, very intentional from the start. And I have the same sort of visceral reaction to a lot of podcasts where you would turn it on and they sit there and, like you said, maybe they have something they want to talk about, but it takes them forever to get to it. And it's really just a couple of guys or a handful of guys who are friends, and they get together and they chit chat, kind of like Steve said, like we're doing tonight, where you're just, hanging out and having, but that's their show every week. And I do not like that format for your everyday run of the mill pod. It just gets old. And I guess from my radio days, when I came out of, when I was in college, I interned at the local radio station, at the college, the campus radio station. And I spun the records and did the segues and all of that stuff and pushed all the buttons. And that's kind of how I had envisioned it when I first started. I also was sort of inspired by the Black Man with a Gun podcast, Ken Blanchard. Ken does a fantastic job with that, segueing from one segment to the next with a little musical interlude or something.
The bumper music.
A little bumper to get him from one place to the next. And when I first started out, I was thinking about how to do it, and I was writing down, making all these plans. In fact, somewhere in all this mess, which you can't see, thank goodness, it's off camera, I have one of those steno pads that has all of my notes from when I was planning out the podcast before I actually started. It's awful. Thank goodness that never came to fruition, because it's terrible. But I kept peppering Ken with questions. What about this? And how do you do that? And what do you think about this? And he was very, very kind and very generous with his time. And he was like, dude, if you're going to do it, just do it. It was basically crap or get off the pot. Do it. And so I did. And
Analysis paralysis.
Yes. And I started out thinking, I don't want the dead space. I don't want the wandering thoughts. I want everything very carefully regimented. I spent tons of time writing commentaries, and writing out all of my segments. I burned tons and tons of time in the early days, planning and plotting and making things way more complicated. And then I approached Sergeant Bill about joining the podcast, and then the light came on. I could make this a lot more interesting if I have lots of different voices and different topics. And so he started doing the Ballistic Minute, and I was still doing that segue, the bumper music from one segment to the next. We don't do it as much anymore, but I drew all of that inspiration from my radio days. It was just like, you don't have any dead air if you can avoid it. And I took that to a point where I would sit for hours cutting out all of the dead space from my own commentary. When I would record something, if there was more than a fraction of a second or, a second of dead air, I would sit there and just snip it all one at a time for an hour. Now, for an hour of recording, it took 3 hours for me to produce. I think I want to say that for every hour of produced time in the early days, probably in the first 2 years, it was taking me 3 hours to produce the show, which I could absolutely not do now. But I shouldn't have done it back then. At some point, it stops sounding natural because you're cutting out all of those natural,
right?
The breaths and the thoughts and all of that stuff. And so I stopped worrying as much about that stuff, and I worried less and less and less about it as we went on, and it got smoother, and to the point where now I do very, very limited editing. I have a template. Let me let Mike Soost in here. He just joined us. I have a template that I set up that has all of my effects and the bumpers and all of the stuff. And so I record my segments, or I take the segments that I get from the contributors, and I drop them into that template and space everything out correctly, and boom.
What do you use for your audio editing?
I started out with Audacity, which is a decent piece of software for beginners. And I think Pastor Bennett still uses it for his record. When we record, we do end to end. So he records his audio and I record mine, and then we upload it to Dropbox, and then I just piece it together. I use Reaper for mine. I find Reaper is really, really easy to use and really powerful. And I do it. I use it for the podcast. I use it for music. It's great. And I think it costs like $60.
That's the commercial license. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they'll let you do it for free, but
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the story.
I've used a ton of things over the years, but I've been doing audio editing since mid 90s. I started on a Roland VS 880 when people were still doing DATs.
I remember. Yeah, I made things so much more complicated than they ever had to be. And now I have my template set up. I can sit down and record. I have my notes. My notes are just shorthand to remind me, oh, don't forget to do that, say this, and don't forget to say that. And then I may write out some of the more detailed stuff, but for the most part, I'm just shorthanding bullet points and trying to remind myself where to go next and what I want to talk about.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. Anybody else? Mike is here from the frozen tundras.
Not quite yet. In a few
How
months.
are you?
Good. You?
We are well. We're doing well. So what have you been up to since last we saw you?
Oh, it's been a while. Well, I just got back from church council meeting, so that's why I'm late.
And while you're probably drinking, what are you drinking?
Ranch Road Hard Hops Imperial Whiskey.
I do remember the church council days, and yes.
Yes. So it was one of those days.
Yeah. Make you want to drink.
Yeah.
We were just doing Q&A, ask me anything kind of questions for the rest of the show, I guess. So anybody got anything else?
Lloyd, how's the new facility doing? Your new office.
It's good.
And house.
The house is great. We actually just signed all the paperwork to close on the sale of the other one today. It was supposed to have happened like 3 weeks ago, and the original seller or buyer backed out on us at the last minute. Fortunately, found a backup, and they're supposed to have signed today, so I should have this all squared. I went over today, turned in the keys, and that's done. It's great. It's the perfect size for us. It's about 1,000 square feet smaller than what we had. We just didn't need all that extra space. It was 2 stories, and my office was basically the only thing upstairs that was being used. And we were heating twice the house and air conditioning air conditioning with 117 degrees and 110, in the summer, your AC bill basically doubles, for some people triples. And it was way more than we needed to deal with. Plus we had way more crap than we needed to be storing. So David's story about garage sales and yard sales, we were doing that for the last 3 weeks. Like, and at some point it was just like, come and get it. We don't need this anymore. We don't want it. We don't need it. We don't have space for it. So
are you on one level?
Yes. Yeah.
So good for when you get old.
That's the other thing. I was getting to where it was such a pain in the butt. And my daughter you could hear her. She'd be in the living room watching TV or listening to something, and she'd hear me coming up and down the steps. She's like, "Oh," because she can hear all, my ankles and my knees popping as I'm going up and down the steps.
I'm getting along better now because last Thursday I had a cortisone shot in the hip, and about 3 weeks ago I had one in the knee, and it looks like we put off. So far, it's looking like we put off joint replacements for a year. So
good.
And then I wanted to ask Pastor G's daughter if she worked at Heights Point this summer.
Yeah, I volunteered there again to be a junior counselor. It went pretty well.
Okay, well,
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
I'll tell Vicar Peter. You got to call him that now.
You were talking to one of the Molarity girls, kids today?
Yeah.
Oh, tell them what's the problem.
Okay, so I had a question. Why is the website down for maintenance? Because I was telling him that I was in the thing today, and he went to look it up, and then he told me that the website was down. I was like, oh.
Website's down for maintenance. It's just today. I was trying to send out the invitation for everybody for tonight, and there's a plugin that is causing a problem. So every time I would send out the message, it would throw me to a 404 page error, not found error. So I had to disable every plugin except for my mailing and the membership plugin so that I could send out.
It's Silas.
Okay, that'll explain it. Because I was like, I wonder why. And I checked on my phone. I was like, it's not on mobile.
It was just for that. I need to go and re-enable all the plugins now that I've gotten past that.
Yeah, so Heights Point went pretty well this summer. Tiring, but when is it not? Watching over a group of 20 cadets is a lot easier than watching over 8 kids with like one-on-one about counselor to camper ratio.
Well, cadets are used to having a chain of command.
Right. And are more responsible and are older.
Yes. Anything else? Thoughts, questions, comments?
Okay, so going back to your intro, each time, and I went and wrote this down because I wanted to get it right. It's a show about guns, hunting, competitive shooting, the natural right of self-defense, and what God's word said about
the issues surrounding
gun rights and gun ownership.
I can say it without even writing it, thinking about it anymore.
Mia covers the hunting portion.
Yep.
We haven't done much. Right? I know you haven't had a whole heck of a lot of time, but there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about competitive shooting in the last couple of years.
This is true. Part of this is because I don't shoot competitively like I used to. Part of that, you can thank my daughter for being a volleyball star and me spending all of my time and money on volleyball. But Bill has not had as much time. He has changed positions within the department and has not had as much time to shoot competitively either. So every time I ping him for, hey, you got a ballistic minute? You got any ideas for a show this week? And he's like, I haven't done any competitive shooting and I can't tell you how long. So that's something that I want to rectify. I want to get now that things are kind of settled down and I can get the stuff out of the corners of all the rooms put away and things settle a little more. That's one of the things I want to get back to is more of that structure with the variety shows and try to get Bill going more.
Yeah, the
Give
last
yourself
one I did
another
was in
year.
November.
Do what, Will?
I was just saying I can't complain much because the last one I did was in November, and I've tried several times this year, and it's just something more pressing comes up than me going out and playing.
Yeah, exactly. It's I keep thinking, oh, I can get out to the I'm 15 minutes from, Frisco Gun Club, which is the big massive Gumtree club here in North Texas, and our IDPA club has they open on Sunday night for an indoor match because they're usually closed Sunday nights, or is it Monday nights? Monday nights, and they open specifically for our club, and the wait list sells out within hours of them opening registration for the match. And I keep thinking I'm gonna run down there and I'm gonna shoot a match, and then something comes up and I can't. So I'm in that same sort of boat, Will. It's just like every time I think I'm going to get to the range, life happens. But I want to, now that all this stuff is sort of settling down, I'm hoping that that will free up some time for playing with the range toys and shooting some matches again. Can't wait to see how terrible I am now.
Yeah, it's a perishable skill. Every time I go back out, it's like, oh, it feels like I've got to take twice as long to aim.
It is. It's not one of those get up back on the bicycle kind of things. They say it's once you get back on the bike, it feels it's not. If you're away from it for any amount of time, you've got to go back to the basics for a day at least, just to kind of. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when I start drawing from a holster again, and trying to clear the garment and do all that. I'm going to have to drag Sergeant Bill out there to kind of tune me up again, because it's been way too long. Anything else? It's been fun. And of course, Tim shows up with 3 minutes to go. Well, we'll get him in here.
Okay, so pistols, prayer, and potluck.
Yes.
We haven't had a potluck. I mean, obviously we can't bring food for each other, but we haven't sat down and had anything more than a nice little bevy.
This is true. We do need to get together. When I've talked in the past, or suggested in the past, trying to do like a live get together somewhere. Hey Tim, how are you?
Hey, pretty good.
Welcome aboard.
I didn't calculate my time zones correctly.
Well, you're in on the tail end, so give everybody a quick intro and tell us what you've been up to lately and what beverage you're imbibing this evening.
Certainly, I'll try to make it brief. I heard about Armed Lutheran, I don't know, about a year ago or something like that. Started following your podcasts, and I figured, well, I think this guy's earned his $36 for the year. So went and tossed a check in your direction. What else? Retired Navy, also retired civil service over the past couple of years. I'm a radio guy, ham radio nut. AF7RV is my call sign.
AJ7IZ.
Well, be sure to watch this video, because when it gets posted, because I don't know how you guys can see where you are in relation to each other as you see it, but as I'm seeing it, you're directly below Steve and directly below Donnie, and they are ham radio guys, and we spent a good while talking about ham radio.
Yeah, well, not just the hobby itself, but also the useful functions like emergency management. And living over in Western Washington, we've got 3 volcanoes at our back door, plus a fault line that goes through that end of the state. Plus, we have a Democrat government, so we have disasters waiting.
Well, we got Waltz, though. That's even worse yet.
Yep.
Well, I live in an area of the state. It's off the east side of Washington. It's the Kitsap Peninsula, which has the Puget Sound between us and them. I like to consider it a moat for protection, of course. Anyway, as far as what I'm drinking tonight, it's a little bit of Dewar's White Label. That's kind of like the standard brand. Hey, nice glass. However, on Friday, I'll be entertaining a retired pastor friend of mine with some Glengoyne 15-year. I haven't found that in the States. I was in Scotland a couple of years ago and picked up a bottle, so an adventure.
I've got a bottle in my cupboard.
Nice. All right.
And that's my story, I guess.
Well, great
Awesome.
to have you here. And we'll look forward to seeing you at future hangouts. I hate you got the time time zone confused. Oh, what have you got?
That's the one that I brought back from Scotland.
Aberlour is wonderful. Yeah, that's available too, where I do my usual shopping.
I didn't know what was available because I didn't know much about Scotch, but I can get this locally as well. But I
do a Scotch tour. Invest the money and go to Scotland and see where they really bring this stuff to life. And
we've been to a couple distilleries. We've been to one in Edinburgh. We've been to a couple on the Isle of Skye. There's 5 different regions where you get 5 distinct flavors in Scotland. We've done a couple of those. It's wonderful.
Will Airbnb's his house and then goes on these magical tours all over the place.
Yep.
Well, the tour I did was the Speyside.
Speyside, yeah. In fact, I still have a couple little bitty like sampler size bottles from Speyside because I bought a handful of them on one of the tours. I think I like Speyside better than whichever one was peatier than the others, and I forget. Anyway,
Islay,
yeah. Isla. Yeah, we're from America.
Well, I can't pronounce anything right.
I'll
drink to that.
Yep. I mispronounce things. That's what I do.
Well, you're from Texas.
I'm from North Carolina originally.
Well, you're from Texas now.
But I'm in Texas now. I'm
currently hails from Texas.
Yes. But being a Southern boy, born and bred, mispronouncing stuff is sort of what we do. It's just our thing.
Okay.
I speak English and bad English.
Speaking of Washington, I fled Washington a year and a half ago, and now I'm in the free state of Florida.
I will never surrender.
Yeah, go ahead and surrender.
Freedom!
That's fine. I didn't surrender. I emigrated.
Well, you should have been awash in benefits then from whoever you emigrated to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, the beautiful Lake of the Ozarks is smack dab in the middle of the country. If they all want to get together, and have a barbecue or something.
Yeah, you're only like 3.5 hours from me. I'm in Bentonville.
Yeah, let me get a map here.
It's a beautiful country.
We're right between 70 and 44. Smack dab in the middle of the.
As long as it's not winter time, I don't do winter anymore.
Yeah, I don't like winter either.
So Lake of the Ozarks.
He hates snow with a passion.
I do now.
October's always nice because we got the changing of the colors and whatnot. Towards the end of October.
I'll be in Branson on the 5th. The 5th through the 12th.
October.
It's about 2.5 hours away.
That's not terrible. Let me see.
We have
Pensacola is nice in December.
Starting point. That would be here.
I haven't been to Pensacola, but I had been to Destin.
Destin's nice.
Okay.
Destin was nice.
Destin's nice.
7 hours. That's not bad. To Lake of the Ozarks. A place we can all go shooting?
What?
Got a place we can all go shooting?
Well, there's a skeet shooting place here. We could all rent the Osage School of Shooting range for like $20 or something like that per hour or something. I was looking. Look up Ozark School of Gunfighting and
gunfighting. That's what it was.
There's so they have a range that you can rent out when I wanted to do something there.
Ozark School of Gunfighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got mountain biking in Northwest Arkansas, but we do have a public range that's open with, Theo, how many bays are there? 4 bays, 5 bays? At the Hobbs State Park shooting base.
Yeah. About 40 minutes away, we have Shrievener Conservation Area, and they have a fairly large range there that's open to the public. That's self-governing when you get out there, but there's 25, 50, 100 yard.
All right.
Covered area.
Well, I'm a range officer at our local range, and during public hours we can't do any of the fancy gunfighting stuff. It's just basically a static, point your weapon at a paper target kind of range. However, I do have after hours access, and when no one's there, hey, terrorists are all over the place, and they all need exceptional customer service.
That's right.
I like the new guy, by the way.
You shouldn't talk about Inslee that way.
All right. Okay. So that might work. We might actually be able to get. How far would that be from Minnesota?
Hey,
It's
Lloyd.
about 12, 13 hours. It's about 12 hours from my place.
Okay.
I'm going to let you guys work out your travel arrangements. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna.
I have to work tonight, so yeah, I hear you.
I'm sorry, Steve. What's work? That sounds like a 4-letter word.
Stop.
Yeah, well, believe me,
Rub it in. Why don't you?
I'm quite happy to be doing the work I do. So,
well, I'm filling in this Sunday because a pastor here died, so I got to fill into the church. Yay! I want to be retired. I like retired.
I guess I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, I'm gonna duck out of here, guys. So,
Steve, good to see you, bud.
All right, good to see you too. I'll be in touch. Bye, guys.
Good evening.
All right, so that's probably a good place to wrap up. It is just past 9, so I will start thinking about possibility of a Missouri stop for an online or not an online hangout, an actual in-person hangout. Okay.
Yeah, you got a pavilion at the church, so.
Yep.
Outdoors.
What's the name of the place again?
Lake of the Ozarks.
Lake of the Ozarks.
Osage Beach.
The question is, is it? Okay.
There's
part of Lake of
more,
the Ozarks, so that's pretty big.
Yeah, it is a bit.
there's more
big area
coastline here than any other state in the union.
Yep.
Wow.
That is one big
because all the codes.
lake. Looks like a monster when you back out. Okay,
it's called the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
Very cool.
12 hours.
Friendswald, Kaiser, Osage. Oh, there's Osage Beach. Okay.
Now, are you at Osage Beach? Is that where you are, Pastor?
Yeah, I'm Osage Beach.
Okay. Yep. Been there.
Yep.
Nice.
I have two, actually. Been 25 years, but yeah, beautiful area.
That's better than order.
All right. That gives me some things to think about and make plans for, perhaps. That would be really cool. Because for some reason, I was thinking up in that area somewhere around obviously not Kansas City, but in that general direction, that would be, because I think we have.
Oh, here she is.
Some folks from up in that area, and that would probably not be terrible for somebody like for Pastor Bennett to make that trip. So that would be cool. That's about halfway for him, halfway for me.
Okay. It's a little closer for you, but
yeah, you've got
just remember he has to work on weekends. That's his one day of work. And
one day.
We went and he picked us some awesome pork chops here about a month ago.
Nice. All right. Okay.
So I know Mia's in Colorado.
Mia's in Colorado.
Where's Bill at?
Bill is here. Bill's about 40 minutes east of me.
Okay.
Mia is, let's see where she is on the map.
Probably almost a straight shot from 70 into Missouri.
The last time we were in southern.
She's in Pagosa Springs, which is
she's right on the border with New Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pagosa.
But she could cut across to 25 and then get 70. And she's no stranger to long driving, so.
And she does it a lot, I'm sure.
Well, if you ever feel like driving off the edge of the planet, we have the Firearms Academy of Seattle over here. And they're excellent instructors anyway. They teach everything from this is what a gun looks like, and here's the end you hold onto, all the way up to SWAT-related stuff. Washington State Patrol trains up there. We get instructors like Masada Youb, a guy by the name of Steve Fisher. All kinds of big names like that. And actually, the price isn't that bad. It averages out to about $250 a day for tuition, and plus, whatever accessories you need and other party favors, such as a bucket of 9mm.
Right.
But hey, excellent class if you ever get a chance.
Very cool. All right. Good deal. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out again. And Mac,
ciao,
our super fan.
It should be not to interrupt, but it's about 8 hour drive probably for Pastor, according to my go to Google. So it's not too bad from Minnesota. No.
All right. Well, guys, again, thank you so much. Great to see all of you, and I can't wait to do it again next month.
All right. See you next month. Ciao.
Bye, guys.
See y'all.
Yep.
For show notes, be sure to visit our website at www.armedlutheran.us. Check out the Facebook page, The Armed Lutheran, or join our Facebook group, Fans of Armed Lutheran Radio. If you like what you hear, please leave us a comment on our feedback page at armedlutheran.us/feedback, or a review on iTunes, and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening to Armed Lutheran Radio, a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.